do I have do I have shared screen?
Um, okay. So Jill, thanks so much for
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah.
So we are recording this because once again it is another Library of Things mutual aid group meeting where we beg unsuspecting victims like Jill to come and tell us more about their libraries and their libraries of things, and especially the kind of the weird, quirky things they have, but also just how it works in a different part of the world. So, Jill, you're from Telluride,
Yep.
which is in the US. For those of you who are watching this, who don't know, Robin and Susan are both from Maine, actually, believe it or not. We have a big Maine contingent on today. So, well, for the small amount of humans we have. And so yeah, but I know some things are different in because I have a list of questions here to ask you.
Okay, good.
But before I shoot you with that, just thanks for showing
Yeah.
up and sharing.
Yeah.
And I am gonna let you. I did. You told me you had some slides, right?
Yeah, I do. And I unfortunately I haven't been able to make a Library of Things meeting yet, but so I wasn't exactly sure what to prepare, but it also kind of helped me prepare like a presentation that I think I'll do at Live Learn X in January. So it's
Perfect.
probably a lot of like old hat stuff that a lot of you already know, but I look forward to like questions, and I'll just like kind of fast forward through stuff that you guys are like, yeah, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we know about that. So just
No, probably not. We're all at different stages. And this is the
yeah.
thing. We have people who just are on this. Again, I know it's a smaller crew today, but we have people who are watching these who are like brand new, never done Library of Things. And then we have people who
Okay.
have been doing them for over 10 years. So it really is like a variety. So don't
Nice.
worry about that.
Cool.
And yay for Live Learn X. We need more
Yay.
Library of Things there. So super glad about that.
Yay. Awesome. Cool. So let's see. Zoom, and I'll share the slides and kind of go through. Um
Wicked. And Robin and Susan, if you are in a situation where you can't ask questions verbally, because I know sometimes we are, um, just type them in and I will ask Jill for you.
okay. And then it's saying that it's wanting me to allow access.
Oh,
All right.
maybe I didn't give you the right.
No, I think it was for the sorry, the audio recording.
Ah, got it. Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that we can do that.
I'm getting thumbs up from Robin and Susan. So that's they're here and paying attention. Jill, they
Yeah.
just
All
are
right. Yeah.
roped into something else.
All right. Awesome. Cool. So I'll start with this. And then just a heads up, my daughter was just I have a 5-year-old. She was in dance camp.
Oh,
She might be visiting for really, really brief. And my husband's at a dentist appointment, so he's going to be picking her up, but hopefully just,
small people encouraged. I've got a 9-year-old with COVID next to me. So
oh, okay. All
all
right.
good, all
All
good.
right. She'll come in and say hi, but
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, we unusual items for checkout. We actually we don't call ours Library of Things. We call it unusual items for checkout because
Yep.
we started this probably in about 2013 and before Library of Things really was a thing. And we are like, oh, these are kind of unusual items that we check out. So that's just stuck. And I'll kind of go through a little bit of how it started for us. We had we got a PEP grant in 2013, which stands for Physical Education Program. It was kind of a local initiative of trying to get kids active and outside. So they gave us some money to, kind of explore that. And we're like, oh, well, it'd be really cool to try to do some other things for checkout, like fishing poles and fly rods and snowshoes. We already had pink bikes in circulation. They're just pink bikes. I don't know why we chose pink, but it just stuck that way. And then, so yeah, we started with the fishing poles and snowshoes and got a whole fleet of snowshoes, which were instantly very, very popular. And then, just from starting with those unusual items, we were like, oh, well, what else can we do? And just kind of started going down that road. Um, and eventually we just had a dedicated budget line item towards unusual items for checkout, and that just keeps growing every year. But one of the biggest things was we just had, those items grew and grew, we just had them all over the library. It was like in the stairwell, we had some on a slat wall. Most of the stuff was behind the circulation desk, the like what, where materials management is, and most of the materials were back there.
Yep.
So getting the word out and letting people know what we had was very, very difficult. And I mean, word started spreading, but a lot of the stuff was down in the basement and it's just everywhere. And so we were lucky enough to do a remodel last summer, last year, on our second floor. And also one of the big pipe dreams that we always had was actually creating an area, dedicated space for unusual items for checkout. So we worked with Proctor Productions in Denver and got this amazing space.
I'm
I know,
so jealous.
I am, it literally was a dream come true. And it has made just a world of difference since we've been able to have a dedicated space for everything. And I mean, it was really fun going through the process of what we really wanted, and just this custom built area for all of our things for checkout.
Yeah.
So as you can see, we have like the musical instruments, then we have all the areas that I never really, it's just all the random stuff. And so I call it odds and ends, bits and bobs, and this and that. We have some tools, we have outdoor items, and like balls, tennis rackets, pickleball paddles. The lawn games are really popular. And then I think one of the coolest areas was this, the technology that you see on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
And having that in like the case where people can see what we have, but it's locked. I mean, that was, obviously what all libraries are going through, having those higher priced items, and you don't want them out to where people could just swipe them. So this is a locked case that people can still see what we have, but not steal it. Because before, yeah, all of that stuff was behind the desk, not visible in the materials management area. So that has really been a game changer, and it's right by the front desk, this whole custom area. And they made it like light up, and we were not expecting all of that. They just really did an amazing job of having our vision come to life. Yeah, when people come in, they're like, oh my gosh, they immediately gravitate towards that. I can't believe you can check this out from a library. How much does this cost? Like, how much is this to rent? And it's like, no, everything is free, and you can get a library card, you can get a library card, and you can check it out right now. So it really just like blows people's minds. That's just so fun to do as a library. And then here's some
Yeah.
more pictures of the board games and kind of how those are, how we package those and sort those. We also have some hanging games on the side there. The this and that, is just like the really random items and the odds and ends. I don't know. And it just keeps growing. There's so many. We have like a suggestion box on our website that, not seeing something that you want, then put it in here. And we get suggestions all of the time. And I'm really the main person who curates the unusual items collection. And so I kind of go through, and if I hear things enough, and if I hear the suggestion enough from patrons, then I'll pretty much get it. As long as I kind of will go through in a little bit of like really what I consider when we get a suggestion or when I'm adding something to the collection.
Yep.
This on the left is also another really cool area of that spot is the oversized items, like
Mm.
the things that we can't put out there, or a lot of the tools you don't really want, like the, really sharp objects in that area. So the tools, the bicycles, and like, inflatable screens or projector screens, and just we got like a bouldering crash pad recently, and
So cool.
so that has been really neat for just have like a visual aid for the stuff that people can't, see right there. And then also up in our upstairs collection, that whole wavy little shelf is all our cookbook. It's a cookbook section. So all of our kitchen and cooking items are upstairs, um, and just on top of where you would actually, find that. So that, and that I feel like that still needs some more promo, that those items live upstairs. But if people are upstairs and looking at the cookbooks, they're like, oh wow, I can't believe you can check out a canning pressure pressurizer or machine or ice cream machine or those kinds of things. So it's just been so nice to have it be visual and not all over the library. And so here are some of our, like, general categories. I just made this poster that kind of tries to just put everything all in one, but the general categories, and I feel like this pretty much encapsulates more or less everything that we have for checkout, and just gives little samples of that. So
I love that.
yeah. And I would say, let's see, I think I have, and if anybody wants to know the name of the production, it was Proctor Productions, I believe was the name of it. Let me just see here. Yeah, proctorproductions.com is the name of the people who, and they're out of Denver, Colorado. So I know that's a little far from
Amazing.
Maine, but
Someone
they
will want to know. So
they
thanks for
just did an
repeating it.
awesome job, and I would just highly recommend them. Let me just see here. Yeah, so I was just going to talk a little bit about it, like in the categories, some of the most popular things that we have in each one of those categories. In the auto, the code reader has been so popular, very well used. We have like a
Huh.
jump starter, tire inflator. I mean, also here in Telluride, we're removed, pretty removed from everything, and the closest stoplight is an hour and a half away. We're a small Box Canyon mountain community tourist town, and we have like 2 auto places in town, and so to be able to like check out something like a code reader and figure it out yourself, and then go to our database in Chilton and figure out how to figure it out on your own. That's been something that's been great. The tire inflator has been really popular as well. Outdoor, just last summer, I added in like more camping gear,
Cool.
because in the summertime, that's a very popular thing to do around here. So we added some tents, like a single, a family, and then a bigger tent, some camping chairs, and like the kind of benches, the camping bench sofa type Kelties. Those have been really, really popular. And we also have a lot of music festivals here too. So people will check those out and go into the festival. We have like shade tents, pop-up tents, for festivals and things like that too. The hammocks, the like hammocks have been really great. Obviously, I mentioned before bikes and snowshoes. The snowshoes are pretty much checked out constantly in the wintertime. And then binoculars have been really popular too. We also do a birding
Yep.
program once a month in the summer, and so those all go out during the birding programs as well. Um, and then tech, obviously, everybody knows that hotspots are incredibly popular.
Yep.
iPads, Kindles, we have gaming consoles, GoPros, the external disk drives, since so many computers don't have disk drives anymore. And then funny enough, this was like, it kept getting suggested. And so it was one of those things that I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Metal detector is super popular,
Yep.
especially in the wintertime when people are skiing or something and then they lose something on the slopes and they want to go back and get it in the spring or the metal detectors, that was definitely a surprise for me how popular that was. And then music, and this one keeps just growing too, is we have like mandolins, ukes, guitars, amps, keyboards, etc. And we have a local music store in town, just Telluride Music Company, and I always try to get as much as I can from them to
Awesome.
and circulate that, and we have a really good relationship. And then household items, the KitchenAid stand mixer is like probably one of our number one checkouts. And all the attachments, the pasta maker, bread maker, ice cream maker, popsicle maker, pressure canner, Instapot. That just kind of keeps growing that section as well. And I'm sure just like anybody that's part of this or watching this has a list of, multiple pages of the want list, of the desire list, what they want to get. Board and lawn games. We have Mahjong is really popular around here. We have a Mahjong
Cool.
group that meets, actually going to be meeting in about an hour. They meet every Wednesday. So Mahjong and cornhole, giant Connect Four, light up bocce. I mean, the lawn games and board games are extensive, as you could see in that one of the last pictures. All the board games there. And then one of the more recent things that we've had, and I'll show a picture coming up where or I'll just the kids items are also really popular here. The child carrier, we have like an off-road stroller, a radio flyer wagon, and we just added Strider bikes with little helmets as
Oh,
well.
awesome.
That's been really cool. Two different sizes of Strider bikes, because we have the adult bikes, but we don't have any littles. And we still don't have any like in between, like kids bikes, but I imagine that'll probably come one day. But yeah, so we'll go to the next slide here. And so this is like the kid
Um,
area. Over in the children's area, we have just these cubbies. And something we added recently were these puzzles, these mud puppy puzzles. If you see on that bottom right corner, um,
mhm.
they're amazing in the sense that they're already ready. They're already packaged. They're in little bags. They're already ready to go. And hold on just a second. Turn that off. And the Yodo players are recent too. We just added those this year with a state grant that we got from the Colorado State Grant. And those, I know a lot of libraries are starting to do like the Yodos and Tonys, and it is never on the shelf. Those are constantly checked out. But because we are a tourist town, we have a lot of people who love this kind of thing when they come to the kids area, and oh wow, I can check out toys. I mean, that's been really nice for our like visitors here as well. And I mean, I used the potty training kit with my daughter when we were going through that, and that was really helpful. And then just, yeah, the various kits and story time kits and things like that. So let's see. And then, I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about, like it's kind of old hat for a lot of the people in this group, like this, the deciding of what to purchase, obviously the price and the demand I was talking about. Like if I hear it enough times, people asking for the same thing enough times, then I'll probably get it. And then I think a big part too, let's see, is that like when I'm looking at it, the reason why all of us libraries are doing these library of things is just the whole like things that people don't need to own. Also here in Telluride, the storage space is very small.
Mm.
So like that's the tool library kind of came into being during COVID because I had time to work on it. And So many of those things. Like, I mean, we just recently got like a electric lawnmower, and like people don't have space to store those kinds of things, or hedge trimmers or things like that. So um we it's nice to be able to offer that to our community. Also, just like the really expensive items that people just can't buy, it's just been really, really awesome. Also, as we touched on before, like buying from local businesses wherever I can, I always try to buy local. We also like partner with the museum in town and have like a museum pass that
Oh,
people can go to the museum for free. Or we also have state parks passes that people can enjoy the state parks around us. We have a toy store right next to the library, so
oh,
I like to purchase things from them that we're going to put in our collection, and then it's just a nice kind of collaboration there. But yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of things being in a small town. You don't want to like step on other businesses' toes. Like we'll never do mountain bikes, like mountain bike rentals. Like the
right.
bikes that we have are townies, they're not meant to go down in the mountain bike park or anything. So we always make sure to support our other businesses around us and let people know where they can go if they're asking for those kinds of things. We're not going to rent skis, like we don't want to get into that business. That's not us. There's plenty of other places around town that do that. But the snowshoes were really easy, in the sense that they're kind of mostly one size fit all, and
Mm-hmm.
to do like the boots and everything along with it. So yeah, the cleanability is another big one that for me is just like, I'll talk a little bit about like um things that I'm not going there yet, that in this next slide. But yeah, the last 2 years, our
Yep.
most popular items have been the hotspots, bikes, snowshoes, the mandolin. But the funny thing about the mandolin is that there's one patron who literally comes in and checks it out like 3 times a day. He checks it out and he returns it. He checks it out, he returns it. And, so I thought that was funny that that ended up on the top 5 list.
Yep.
But thank you, Bill. Like,
We all
uh,
have similar stories. Yeah.
yeah. The iPads, the camping chairs, the sewing machines have been really, really popular. We've added a couple more to our collection just because they always have a hold list on them. And we also have like sewing programs, so that kind of helps too. The pickleball and tennis rackets, and then the child carrier. Like I said, like having the tourist
Yeah.
kind of patronage here, they're not bringing their child carrier out here, but they're so grateful to have that. We have 3 for checkout, because those are always checked out in the summertime, especially. And then the not so successful, the fishing poles that we got through that initial grant. It was really fun and really cool at the beginning, and then not so fun and cool as it went on, and they just kept, as I'm sure anybody who's tried the fishing poles, they just kept coming back either broken or tangled, and so we just let those gently make their way out. And then the doctor, I don't even know how the dog activity kit came into being, but I just remember it was like 8 years ago or something. So there was an article about libraries doing checking out interesting things, and like the Telluride library, the thing that they chose that we checked out was the dog activity kit out of like all the things that we had for checkout. But I mean, I feel like any librarian who's worked in a library for a while knows that like the puppy training books are always the one that come back destroyed. So, and then we did these like destination bags for a while, where it was like, I think that was just before like COVID, and it was like, just themed kind of Italy, and just like themed bags, and they were fun for a second, and then they just collected dust.
Yep.
Um, and then the not going there, I say yet, because you never know. But there we go. I have the picture. The carpet cleaner, what I said earlier about the cleanability. I don't want my staff or myself to have to clean what's coming back in that carpet cleaner. Pack and play, things like, and I mean, really, even just this morning, we got a phone call from a lady saying, "Oh, I have these car seats I'd like to donate to the library, and maybe you could check them out in your unusual items." And the things like pack and play and things where like there's possibility of a kid um getting injured by that item in any way, I just don't at all want to go there. And so those are things that I always say no. We're not going to go down the e-bike route. I say yet, we're just
Right.
not there yet. Ladders make me nervous. I mean, we have a lot of things that people could hurt themselves with. I mean, they could hurt themselves, I don't know, on a board game, but somehow, but we have the liability waiver, which I have a link to as well. Sleeping bags, just that grosses me out. We'll do the tent, and because I feel like those are a little easier to clean, but I just don't want to go into the sleeping bag realm. And we have puzzles, but they're like easily countable puzzles. I think the highest number of pieces we have is like 36 or something like that. So that's not going to take a whole lot of staff time to count those pieces. And I'm just not going to get a meat grinder because I just feel like that might be hard to clean. So and then we don't have to talk too much about this because I feel like a lot of people on who are watching this know their why. This is why you're doing this, why you're creating this. So yeah, just
But those are all great points. And it is still, I'm really glad you put these things in this presentation. And again, I know it's multi-use, which is yay, exactly why we do this, but it's still really good for us to hear kind of what you are focusing on and why and how it works for your community, because the tourist things, as you said, that makes a lot of sense. Versus for some of us, we may or may not be in tourist areas.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then the storage thing is a real thing here. I mean,
Hmm.
if you can even find a place to live, let alone somewhere where you can actually have any kind of storage, it's hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that one. And then same kind of thing, like things to consider when you're trying to add something into your collection, or just, some of the challenges that might come from having a library of things or collection, which I don't think we need to spend too much time on, because um, I think everybody kind of has that in mind. And then what about liability? Here's our waiver, so people can access this, and if they want to, we used to have, I think, like when we first started it was pieces of paper, and it was like, oh, is it a tech item or is it a tool, or if is it a bicycle or something like that where you could get
Mm.
hurt on it, or is it a tech item where you can get lose it. And so we had pieces of paper and we were collecting it, and it was awful. It was so now we just have like an iPad set up at the front desk, so if it's the first time somebody's checking out an unusual item, and it's kind of an all-in-one tech or any kind of liability waiver. And so I just wanted to let people have access to that if
Yeah.
they're trying to do their own waiver and wanted some examples from that. So and we just
That's
have
great. We haven't seen
eight at
this one
one
yet.
time.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Cool. And then just for us looking forward, uh I'd like to do more. I just kind of thought of this recently. We just started checking out umbrellas. I think one of these this one right here. We just started checking out umbrellas, and we're like, oh, we should put our logo on it. That's free marketing, I mean, people are walking around town with our umbrellas, and oh, where'd you get that? Oh, wow, Wilkinson Public Library. That's so cool. And then it just automatically starts up a conversation. So I'm like, we're about to get another pop-up tent, and I'm like, why aren't we putting our logo on everything and just having it out there? So that, these are just some things that I'm looking at, just kind of like moving forward. Um, and then as you can see, some of our pink bikes have turned turquoise now. As we're adding more to the collection, we're not so concerned about the pink anymore. But, and just that like more uniform branding and consistency among the packaging and how we're putting it together. And just how it looks on the shelf. I think that it was in one of the previous slides, but just like the organization and just keeping it looking nice, because it's a lot of stuff, and it's like it's a little hard to always just have it. It can get unruly pretty quick. So I feel like that's just a constant thing that myself and my staff, we're just making sure it looks good. And but I'd like to have just a little bit more consistency across, like if you can see back, we'll just go back here, just all the different containers that it's in, because this has been over 10 years of putting together items for this collection. So like on the top of the this and that record player and converter, that was one of our first items that we were like adding in. And so everything has kind of changed over time. But just like the clear bags has been a big part of, so people can see what's inside, and the clear boxes. But one thing we really try to do now, if you look on the very right on the tag, we try to always have a picture of the item that's inside. And just anytime we are adding something to the collection now in processing, it's always having that like clear picture on the tag, on the little like travel luggage tag. And then I guess the last thing I'll mention is just I think every librarian and every person that works in a library, you just don't have enough hours in the day. I just always want to do more like Instagram or TikTok or whatever, be that fun like presence on social media, and just letting people know about what we have, because you can have all of these things, but if people aren't walking in and seeing that, they don't know what we have, and I mean, of course, there's word of mouth, all of that, but just I have this vision, and I have a whole spreadsheet of planning. I've planned it out of these Instagram promos, but just just need to get to that, you know 25th hour in the day. But just the whole, did you know the library does this? Did you know we have this? Blah blah blah. So I feel like everybody's in the same boat. You just don't have enough time.
What's
Um
what's that picture of underneath
Yeah, I was
there?
just gonna say
Oh,
that
okay.
bottom right.
Yeah.
That's right over by where our bikes are located, by our garage, and it's a bike like repair area.
Oh, cool.
So anybody can use it at any time with their own bike. It has all the tools needed to repair your bike, and then a pump. And we just have a really awesome maintenance guy, Andy, who installed and made this whole thing. And it's, and I don't really know how much of our community actually uses it, truthfully, because it's on the side of our building, so people could be using it all the time. But that's one thing that I've really been wanting to get out there, of like, hey, you can not only can you check out a bike, but you can also fix your bike. So yeah. And then, yeah, this is the last slide here. Yeah, if anybody has any questions or more things that they, would ever like to ask me, there's my contact information, and I'm happy to answer questions at any time. So,
Oh, we have questions. We
okay.
have questions. I was
All
going to
right.
say, I hope you're ready because I've been jotting them down. I had a page before you started, and then once you started talking, I have another page. And
All
I,
right,
I know
great.
you were probably busy talking. You didn't see the little hearts that were coming up from the couple
Yeah.
of other humans who were here, but Robin and Susan obviously just chime in. I'm gonna steal Jill for now since I know you're in stealth mode today. But again, type it out or ping me and I'll ask for you. Okay. Jill, thank you so much. This is
Yeah.
um everything you went over is all stuff that you provided a different perspective on. And like, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's the same. We call it code G. I'm not dealing with a carpet cleaner. Ew.
Yeah.
Yuck. Like I know it's like great to share those things, but you know what? I mean, we are very privileged in that we have some local stores that you can rent them from. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna so let them do that right
Oh
now.
yeah.
Same with like the drain snakes, you know,
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, oh no, we'll
And
do
people
all the
ask
other,
for those all the time.
yeah.
People all the time. They're like, "Oh, you guys should check this out." Like, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Maybe someday. Keep
So
keep
that
looking.
So when it does get broken or it comes back gross, I mean, which over 10 years, I assume occasionally happens. Again,
Mhm.
most people are we're all well behaved, but I drop things occasionally too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so what are you the person who fixes things, or do you have a dedicated person on staff?
Yeah, I mean, we have like I mentioned that guy Andy, who's
Yeah,
like our facilities guy. He's usually a kind of our go-to person. He's just handy Andy, like
amazing.
he can usually do it. Or there's also our materials management guys, uh, Rod and Matt, and they're pretty handy as well. So usually, like if it's a tool, if it gets checked back in before it goes right onto the shelf, it'll just kind of pass through them just to make sure that it's all okay, and ready to be put back on the shelf. And anytime I'm checking items out to patrons and all the staff know too, like when we do check it out, I always say, make sure it works well. If it doesn't, let us know. Like if anything's up,
Hmm.
or if it doesn't have all the pieces or whatever. I mean, I think just that communication is number one, rather than people just bringing it back when it's all messed up or doesn't work. And just, I always ask, how did it work when they're checking it back in too? And, but it goes through their hands before it goes back on the shelf.
Yeah, so
And
that community goodwill gets you
Mhm.
far, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Do you so okay, so have you had any issues? So one we haven't been as brave as you is in many ways. So I'm going
Mhm.
to ask you specifically about some of your bravery here.
Okay, okay.
And the reason why is because and then as we all have, Robin
Yeah.
and Susan have both been brave in ways I have not been as well. So and vice versa. So some of your stuff, we have been a little bit afraid of lice and bed bugs. So like I know, you've done hammocks and tents and helmets and
Mhm.
all these things that were like we'd like to, but we're a little scared.
Yeah,
So have you
yeah.
run into any problems or has it all been great?
Well, so the helmets are brand new. I mean,
Okay.
really and we just have two Strider bikes, and they go out with the Strider bikes, and um, I mean, ask me in a year,
Yeah, no
maybe.
worries. No
But
worries.
I think you just make sure that I just give it a check. And honestly, and I don't even know if I want to say it unless I have someone around, but we have not had any issues about bed
Yes.
bugs or lice. I just I don't really ever hear about bed bugs. Maybe they don't live at this elevation. We're 9,000 feet up. I don't know. Maybe they just don't like it as much up here. But I mean, I honestly just never hear about the bed bug issues. And I mean, when I worked at the Denver Public Library, I mean, there would be like bed bug infestations coming in with books and things like that. And
Right.
I just, I've been here for 12 years and I've never really even heard the word bed bugs. So hold on. Okay,
Amazing.
got it.
That's the answer we wanted though. I hope everyone has that answer someday, right? So that's
Yeah, but and
yay.
the tents and the hammocks are the Eno hammocks, and so they're like the
Comfortable.
not cloth,
Yeah,
I would hesitate to go down the cloth route. But those are really easy. I mean, you can even like pop them in the wash.
totally.
And they're they're really durable and they're really easy to clean. So,
Cool.
and very portable. And they already come in their own little sack. That's another thing I always look for is like,
Mm.
does it already have its packaging? That's great.
Oh yeah, no, that's like okay, because that was on my wants list, but we were going back and forth. So now I've got more power on that.
Yeah.
How kind of a logistical, how did you put your logo on stuff? Like if you were just getting a couple of umbrellas, did you like make your own sticker and slap some
No,
vinyl on
that
it?
that one I went through for imprint, I think
Okay,
was
cool.
it, or bis
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was the for imprint. And then I think the minimum amount you could do was like 25 or something like that.
Cool.
And so people have been loving those. It's been raining a lot, luckily lately. We've been having a lot of rain and which we need out here in the West. So yeah, that was a super easy process. And that actually came from the materials management guys. They were like, oh, it'd be really cool to, I'd always wanted to check out umbrellas. And then they came to me and they were like, oh, it'd be cool to put our logo on it. I'm like, yes, it would. And then did it that day, so it was, um, that's been really cool. And now I'm obsessed with the idea of just putting it on everything. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. It's like the Kelty couches or whatever, we try to get things that we know will be durable. So you don't want to go on the total cheap end of things.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like how would you go about putting your logo on a Kelty couch kind of thing? We also do have like a pretty, like she's like a fabric fairy here who works here at the library,
Oh,
and
I want one.
I
I
could
don't
kind
know
of
what.
imagine like using maybe our Cricut machine to do the logo and then getting like an iron on, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe she could even sew something on, or I don't know, something along those lines. But it definitely, those umbrellas kind of like kickstarted a whole new thing in my mind of, okay, we should be labeling our or logoing everything as much as possible.
I so here it's something that we've been discussing as well, and we just haven't gotten there um yet. Okay, so another question for you is Robin asks, one of our most popular items is our digital radon detector. What are some of the home gadgets you have like that?
Yeah, so we have a radon detector too. That one has been really popular as well. Recently got like a Geiger counter.
I saw that. I was
Um,
going to ask about that.
yeah, and that was a suggestion by multiple patrons. Here in the like this area, I mean, we're old mining towns, like
Mm.
Telluride and Norwood and Nucla, Natarita, they're old mining, and people are just curious, like about what's out there, so or what's around your house. So the Geiger counter, and then like a thermal, uh, um, like a thermal detector to see where in your house you're losing heat,
Hmm.
especially in the wintertime. That's really popular. Try to figure out where you need to shore it up. um and we've had the kilowatt
Mm.
ones for a long time, and those still check out. Probably not as popular as some of the other ones, but the kilowatt, so yeah. Hope that answered it. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that
I
I
also
can.
saw you had an EMF meter, which I see a lot of libraries have. We don't have one yet, but it's
Yeah,
people ask for it all the time.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So yeah, and really, those smaller things, like sure, I'll go for that. Like if I get asked a couple of times, and it's not that expensive, like why not? You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and I know space is always an issue, and but especially for those smaller things, and it can just fit right into the bits and bobs. We can just do it.
Love it. Well, why not concept? A lot of what you said resonated with me. Oh, you got a great with a smiley face, by the way, for your answer. So,
Good.
um, so things that you'd like to do. One of the things I know that we are once I'm hoping to take a sort of deeper dive in, and we have all sorts of ideas and visions and stuff on this, is your tag situation. And something that you said that really I thought was really interesting is that you put a picture of each item on your tag. And another thing I thought was great is that you had like your posters and things in Spanish, for example. And
Mhm.
so I know different tool libraries have been playing around with, and libraries of things, how to make their labeling more multilingual. I mean, libraries in general, right? Like
Yeah, right,
we have a
right.
catalog. How do we
Yeah,
make this more this? How do we
yeah.
make this more that? And I know it's something we've really struggled with. And kind of looking, we'd like to redesign our labels to be more universal design principles. So having a picture of the item sounds like a brilliant idea. And then do you put everything in Spanish? Is there anything else that you really like on your tags or dislike on your tags that you would
Um, yeah, I think
suggest?
the picture is the most important in my mind. And then on the other side of the tag is usually just like a list of what should go into that.
Got it.
Uh, yeah, what you should look for when you're checking it out or bringing it back. So those are the main things, just the title of it, the picture, and then what to look for.
Awesome. And on that note, what to look for? How strict are you? So I guess that's like what happens, or walk us through. Could you know, oh, well, that wasn't in there when I got it. Like, are you going to charge them for it if it gets broken reasonably? Do you go after people? Because I know you noticed you had some theft that you mentioned, and I think we've
Yeah.
all been there. And I
Right,
think everyone's dealing with it in different ways, and overall, that's not the problem, I think,
right, right,
again.
right.
But
Yeah.
what are any, it's always nice to hear what a different library does.
Yeah. We're very lenient. Very, 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 very lenient. We don't even accept money anymore. Really, like
Yeah.
for anything, we don't charge for library cards. We don't charge for prints. We don't. I mean, I just waive the charges away if it's like a book, or I don't know. We're very lenient in that
Yeah.
sense. If people want to give us money, we have a donation spot on our website, or a donation jar if people really, really want to give us money. But it doesn't happen that often. It doesn't happen enough that we feel like we're losing just an incredible amount of money by people stealing things or things coming back broken. And like I mentioned before, really the durability factor of like trying to get the the little higher echelon items that aren't gonna break willy-nilly. I would say, like, we just got those umbrellas and one came back yesterday and it was broken, and I was like, oh, that's a bummer. That was pretty fast, but we also have 24 more, like, so
Yes.
I'm not gonna charge you for that. Here's another umbrella, like,
Right.
and the theft just it hasn't been enough to be super concerned about it, the loss. We have like our tech services manager, Amy, and I always ask her about it. I'm like, how much actually it doesn't come back? And she's like, it's just a minuscule amount to like really to get concerned about.
Great.
Yeah. And then we have, I mean, one of the things to consider is um like when you have the lawn games or board games or whatever, after a while you're buying new copies and things like that, and just keeping the other stuff for like backup, um if pieces go missing. But then it's like, then you're also storing the backup stuff, and where do you do that? Like
Yeah.
the backup cornhole bags or whatever. So then there's just this whole section of like, you have your backup, but also needs storage. So yeah, I don't know
Awesome.
that answer.
No, that totally does. It totally
Yeah.
does. I'm keeping an eye on our time because it's 2:50. But so again, we could keep you here all day with some good questions, just because it's things that you would have a different perspective on. And I think, how to deal with kids. I loved your kits. If you folks haven't taken a look, the grief kits, the resilience, well-being kits, end of life kits, alcoholic recovery kits, do
Mhm.
those go out? Um,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
it's like tough
So
topics, but
yeah, tough
with
topics.
help.
Yeah. Yeah, so we started the tough topics for the kids first, and this was This was back when I was still working in the kids area, and you would just see people come in a lot and ask for like books on divorce or just the harder stuff to talk about. And so it's like it'd be really cool to just be able to like give somebody a backpack with all of, five of the best books, and then maybe some kind of interactive
Yeah,
game or like toy or something that they can explore the topic with. And that just kind of grew from there. And then we had a lady, Maggie, who was going through like some grief counsel, like to be a grief counselor.
mm-hmm.
Um, and she made these, we were calling well-being kits,
Yeah,
for the adults. And we just have those actually up in our stairwell right now, and just have like kind of a whole display for all of the like well-being kits. Yeah.
cool, cool.
Yeah.
So Susan has another question for you, which is, so she's actually working at their tool library at the moment. So they're going in and out. But she was wondering, so it sounds like you do take donations. So how do you decide what to say yes and no to? I know you went over some of this a little bit,
Yeah.
but do you have any like, you know, good advice for some of us looking at when those donations come in? And I'm sure we could share stories of some crazy stuff we've
Oh,
been asked
I'm
to share.
sure. Yeah, and honestly, we don't get the donations too often. We don't have people, and I know a lot of libraries kind of get their library of things started via donations, but I typically like to buy new and buy local. Like I'll go to the Ace Hardware store or something to get the tools, or the music shop, or so we don't do too many donations. I think recently we got like 5 snowshoes donated, but they were brand new. So I feel like, I don't know, we get a lot of book donations, but and then sometimes some board game donations, and if it's in good condition, I'll put it in the collection. But yeah, for the most part, if it's in good condition, and we could use it, we don't have other duplicates, or if we need duplicates, like the snowshoes, like I said, are very, very popular. So we'll add more of those for that. But yeah, the people definitely have donated like pack and plays or car seats or things like that, or want to. They'll usually call first rather than just leave it on our front stoop. But we also have something called a free box in Telluride, which is
Mm,
like an area where people can go give their donations or take things for free. So we'll usually recommend people bring their thing to the free box if it's in good condition, if we don't need it for our collection. So yeah.
that seems to be a common theme is that, if you're iffy on something, that every community now seems to have some good ideas for that free sharing. Susan says thank you. Yeah. So is there anything, so we have 5 minutes left, and I'm not going to lie, I still have about 3 pages of questions for you, but that's all right. Eventually
Email.
we'll go to the same conference and I'll be like, hey, let's go out for coffee and
Yeah, that'd be great.
share some thoughts. I don't get to go to Liveler next, but I might hook you up with some good humans I know who are going,
That would be awesome.
because I think you would have fun together. But yeah, so I thank you, Jill,
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
sharing all this. I have to ask, does the potty training kit come with a mini potty?
Not one that kids could use.
Okay, that's I was just double
No,
checking.
it does. It
I
has
was like,
the little like it has the potty for the doll.
okay, for the doll. Got it.
Has the
Yes.
doll potty, and then it
Yeah.
has like little activity cards that
Yeah.
you get to do when you actually do go potty, and it was the cutest thing.
Oh, I would have so used it.
Yeah.
Oh, it would have. I mean, I used the
No,
DVD
no, we
video
don't
from the library, but
cleanability. Going
right.
there.
That's why I was just checking. And then on that note, okay, I'm a little jealous. Well, on multiple things, I'm a little jealous, but a couple of things I'm really jealous of are your serger and your circular and your reciprocating saw. Have you had any troubles with any of those items?
No,
Yes,
no,
the answer I
no
wanted.
troubles. You can tell your boss that.
Thank you.
No, in fact, we've just gotten more, just because they are so popular, and there's
Yeah.
always list for it. And
Yeah.
I feel like the thing is like people that are checking that out are checking it out because they feel comfortable using it, you
Yeah.
know? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally check it out because I'm not doing those kinds of projects, but like
Mm-hmm.
people who are, and also it's like there's YouTube videos and whatever if you really, really need a little extra help. But I know I've no problems with that. And I know we touched on like the chainsaw. Like we've never had anybody hurt themselves. Once again, somewhat we've never
Yeah.
had anybody hurt themselves on our tools, but the pressure washer was another one that people like, Andy, the facilities guy, was a little nervous about checking that out because he's like, you could, like do this to your toe, or if you're
Yeah.
using it's high pressure. And yeah, I mean, you could like, but you have the liability waiver, and you just hope that people use it responsibly, and that's part of it.
Gosh, being the community organization, you gotta you gotta kind of trust your community
Yeah,
and work the
yeah,
best you can,
yeah.
which I think we all know something about. Okay, well, awesome. Hey, look, thank you so very much, Jill. Susan, Robin, last chance to quiz Jill on any of the tough questions for at least for today. Oh no, you get hearts instead, Jill. No, no quizzing you.
Okay.
I was gonna say I didn't even get to ask you about some of the cataloging and thing questions, but again, I think at some point we might do a deeper dive and grab some of us humans from all over the world and
Yeah,
then really dive deep into some of like, if we were going to take this to the next level, what could
yeah,
we all do together? Because I think
yeah.
there's some cool stuff that would be really neat. Um,
Yeah, the whole cataloging element too. I would definitely get you in touch with Allison,
yeah.
who's our like, she's our go-to kind of processor cataloger, and she's the one who I just get the things and then I put it on her desk and I say make the magic happen,
Yeah.
and
We all
thank you
have our
ever.
roles. We all have our roles, right? No,
Awesome.
so good.
Just get to come up with the fun ideas.
Robin says it was very helpful. We'll be checking out your catalog items. So,
Awesome.
Jill, again, thank you so much. And hope to see you again. And good
Yeah.
luck with Live Learn X. And if you ever come out to Maine, please come out and say hi. We
Which
have
library are you in again?
so I'm at Curtis Memorial Library in Maine, and then Robin's in Freeport, and Susan's in well, she's gone, but she's in South Portland. Specifically, they're just electrical tools
Oh, okay.
down
Wow.
there. So Robin is at the public library, and I'm also at a public library. So, but Susan was a little different. So
Awesome. I'll have to
yeah.
tell my aunt to go around. She loves
Oh,
going to the libraries in Maine. So
perfect. Yeah, tell her to come say hi to any of us. We're all happy.
well, it's so nice to meet you.
Right
And
back at you.
just let me know if you have any other questions. Shoot them my way.
Thank you so much, and have
All
fun
right.
with that lady when she gets back from dance camp.
Thanks. All right.
Bye.
Bye.